a rainy day. I mean, all day. It started last night. It's still raining. That's like 24 hours of rain. How's everyone doing tonight? Rainy day. Rainy day. I got soaked. Like bone drenching soaked out in the rain, having to move stuff. Storage unit, cleaning the building out today. It was one of those days. It was definitely one of those days. And of course, my hot water heater decided not to work, so I just got out of the shower. Sparkling clean. See? Still wet hair. Probably coughing from all the mold I inhaled. I'll be dropping dead tomorrow. No, let's hope not. Episode 129, October the 7th, Tuesday, because the green garbage cans were out this morning. So I know it's Tuesday, because green means Tuesday, blue means Thursday. So you're going to know my garbage schedule before you're done with me. You'll know exactly what day garbage gets picked up. That's how I know what day it is. Just saying. All right, so 1961. We're going to jump right into it. I'll try and keep this moving because I found a lot of stuff today. Because I was slow. I just was sitting around and bored and eating food and watching stuff. So Bye Bye Birdie, 1961, closes after 607 shows at the Martin Theater in New York City. It starred Dick Van Dyke and it received 4 Tony Awards. The only reason I bring that up is for the fact that when I was in 8th grade, I was Harvey Johnson. Hello, Mr. Hinkle. This is Harvey Johnson. Can I speak to Penelope Ann? I never got to do that. Well, I did, but so what wound up happening was 8th grade, how old are you? You know, you're like in your teens, right? Friday at the dress rehearsal, break a leg. Sunday, I went to my mom's work softball game for the library that she worked at. Now, I was finally old enough as an 8th grader to go ahead and get the nod to play in the softball game with the adults. So, but I was still a kid. These were all adults, so I'm a kid. So I got to play pitcher because it's softball. So I could pitch, I could throw a ball. I'm okay, I can do that. And the game is going along just fine. Everything's fine. And some larger gentleman smacks it out of the park. And so they're, relaying the ball and cover home. So I go and I cover home. And this giant jackass slides into me, this kid, and breaks my leg. Yes. Break a leg. Yeah, he actually broke my leg. I was in the park. Ambulance had to come across the grass as I'm writhing in pain, holding my leg because my knee went the wrong direction. And he snapped my fibula, which is the skinny bone that's in the back of the leg. So I had to have a full cast all the way up to my groin because I couldn't bend it at all. So that spring, this is when it was, the role of me was played on stage by having them close the curtain to move me because I couldn't get around quick enough. So it was sort of like I stood where I was, they closed the curtain, they kind of shoved me over and over the curtain again, I was at the other place. That's how I did that. And that was for Bye Bye Birdie. Yeah. Interesting enough, I also graduated junior high that year while I still had a cast on. So I had to fumble and stumble with crutches up the stairs to cross the stage and get my graduation from middle school, junior high. That was also a joy. So yes, I had a very interesting summer wearing a cast to the beach and everything else. The trials and tribulations of being a child or an adult. I broke my leg as an adult too, and it was no funner. Less fun, in fact, actually, as far as I remember, because it was nearer and dearer as opposed to being so far away. But that's why I brought up about Bye Bye Birdie. So there you go. I'm not completely invincible. I do break bones on occasion. He was gigantic, and I did get a softball that everybody signed. They were so sorry. I'm like, whatever, man. Really? I'm a kid, and you slid into me like, this was for the World Series or something. Jackass. 1963, the Rolling Stones record a Lennon and McCartney song, I Want to Be Your Man. It is never put out on any album until many, many years later. It's only released as a single. It's at Kingsway Sound Studio in London, and it's their first top 20 hit, number 12, that the Rolling Stones have. Apparently this song was started by Paul McCartney, and in fact finished by Paul McCartney. Well, Lennon sat in a corner at a club at a Richmond, London club with Keith Richards and Mick Jagger talking. So he actually didn't participate at all, but he was there with Mick and Keith and decided that he would put his names to it, even though McCartney wrote pretty much all of it. Why did they do that? Well, they liked hanging out with them, and they thought they'd be good with it. Since they know they had kind of a bluesy, Bo Diddley kind of sound, that they thought this would be a great song for them. So they gifted it to them as their friends. Well, that was very nice of McCartney and Lennon. Many more Beatles and Lennon things tonight. 1964, the Beatles appear on an episode of a U.S. TV show called Shindig. You can find the entire episode on the web. I looked at it and watched it. The first song they did was a cover. It was Kansas City, Kansas City, Kansas. I was like, what the hell? But yeah, they did covers. They did one song, I'm a loser, toward the end. But there was a bunch of other artists that played on this sort of variety show. I mean, you can find it on YouTube or wherever it was, and it has the commercials and all, like the 1964 TV commercials, which are pretty funny, where the host at one point is like, Stridex, it helps with acne. Let me show you. And I just skipped past it, but I was like, that's hilarious, finding the actual commercials that happened during the show as well. 1966. Yeah. I'm sorry. Because I'm like, it's all Beatles and Rolling Stones for some reason tonight early. The Rolling Stones recorded 4 live songs for their first LP, Gotta Live If You Want It. Then, the Beatles in 1967, like I say, it's just back and forth, turned down an offer of $1 million to play a return performance at Shea Stadium. Apparently the guy that booked them 2 times earlier at Shea wanted them to come back for a third time, and they said no to $1 million to play in 1967 at Shea Stadium once again. And again, 1976, John Lennon. So the U.S. decides not to deport John Lennon. So in 1976, he got his green card. Okay. Now, this all arose from a 1968 drug conviction for marijuana possession in England. Okay. The underlying motive was when Lennon moved into the U.S. in 1971, he was already anti-war. And he pretty much was very vocal about it and vocal about Nixon and the protests. So Nixon's administration was fearful that Lennon's influence could actually have an output, a negative outcome on his presidential election. So they basically wanted to deport him because of that. Not because of that. That was their actual motives. Basically, the activists and artists gathered together to help him, seek this deportation and stop it. In March of 1973, this was 3 years earlier, that's when they actually said, you have to go. We're going to deport you. So he went ahead and got a lot of support from other activists and artists and found a very good lawyer. And apparently the lawyer when he was given a date of like, okay, you have till September 10th to leave or we will deport you. His lawyer went ahead and filed an injunction and an appeal that slowed the process significantly. So by the time it actually got back to the courts 3 years later, Nixon was already out and the political climate had changed, and a panel of 3 judges ruled Lennon was not needing to be deported for the drug charges in England, and that the other unsubstantiated reasons why he was going to be deported because of his political views did not come to light, so he was not deported and given a green card. Interesting how that works, right? Political pressure to deport someone, even someone like a John Lennon, happens. 1977, guitarist Steve Hackett quits the band Genesis to perform a solo career. He was, in fact, inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, though, in 2010 as part of Genesis. He went on to perform worldwide, but never had the same success that he did when he was with the band. 2008, Spotify's launched on this date, October the 7th. California holds a gubernatorial recall election on this day, October the 7th, in 2003, and Governor Greg Davies, in fact, is out. And new Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger is in. The governor is born. 1966, Smiley Lewis, a New Orleans R&B singer, passed away. He wrote, I hear you knowing. Oh, I hear you knocking. Duh. I hear you knocking. Where it went as number 1 in the UK and number 2 in the US for Dave Edmunds. So he wrote that long ago. 1966, another 27 candidate. Okay. Johnny Kidd was killed in a car accident in the UK. While on tour, Johnny Kidd and the Pirates are. One of the Pirates, the bassist, was Nick Simper. Simper was also in the car, but only sustained minor injuries. Simper was the original member of Deep Purple. Kidd did have a number 1 in 1960 for Shakin' All Over. Shakin' All Over. But he's part of the 27 group, okay? Now, this is my third one that I said that needs to be now sent into that list of artists that died at 27. He's a musician, 27, just saying. This is another interesting political thing. Cass Elliot, 1967, of Mamas and the Papas, spent a night in jail on October the 7th, accused of stealing from a hotel in London. The band apparently arrived by boat, and they were told that the police were waiting for Cass with a warrant for arrest. So they did their best to hide their pot. And when she disembarked, she was in fact arrested by the police and hauled off to Scotland Yard. While they were in the police station, she said she was not given a blanket. She was only given 1 blanket, which was not sufficient for her size and girth. She made a joke of that. And she was denied bail, as the charges were in fact for a crime that supposedly she had committed 6 months earlier, stealing towels from a hotel and not paying the bill. Stealing towels, right? She was released after she went to court with no charges filed at all after her court appearance. It also said that this was a fairly normalized behavior for rock and roll musicians at the time in London, England, in the late 60s, that they were harassed and a lot of times falsely arrested for various charges just to hassle them. So this fit a pattern, apparently, in the late 60s for musicians in London. Interesting. 1968, Jose Feliciano. I think he was a guest on the movie Fargo. That's who they went and saw when the little guy with the weird eyes, he went and picked up the girl, and they went to see Jose Feliciano. Let's get some more of it here. At the club room at the Holiday Inn, I think it was. Anyway, he performed a controversial version of the Star-Spangled Banner at the 5th game of the Cardinals versus the Tigers World Series. His slow and bluesy rendition was immediately chased, and many radio stations refused to play his songs afterwards, as well as his career suffered grave damage after that performance. So what happened to Roseanne Barr? How come she didn't get canceled for singing like crap at the national anthem? Just saying. Did she? I don't remember. So, word to the wise. Don't screw the national anthem. Just saying. 1978, the film soundtrack for Grease, the movie starring Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta, started a #1 run of 13 weeks in the UK. The lead song performed by the Bee Gees, Grease is the word, is the first and the last song on the movie soundtrack. It's the opening and close of it. I did listen to that because I was like, oh yeah, that is that song. It is the Bee Gees. They had a very varied career. Every Lion's Son is one you have to listen to, like I've said. Very trippy. The trippiest song I've ever, I was like, Bee Gees? Really? Thank you to the Righteous Gemstones for turning me on to that one. Marvin Gaye, 1978, files bankruptcy for the 3rd time in the year. Woo! Owning up to debts of $7 million. Damn, Marv, what are you doing? What's going on with that? That's a pretty hefty sum there, my friend. In 1978, $7 million. I mean, that's a hefty sum this day. $7 million. What exactly were you doing that got you that much in the hole? I'm just wondering. Probably nothing good. Just saying. 1979, Joy Division, who we spoke about the other night, playing with the Buzzcocks, released Transmission, their single debut. It was listed in 2007 by NME as number 20 greatest indie rock anthem of all time. It was supplanted by one place below their 3rd single, Love Will Tear Us Apart, at 19. Interesting. Greatest indie rock anthem. It has to be an indie rock anthem, apparently, because it can't just be a rock anthem. That would be like what, Queen? I don't know. 1982, Jimmy Page of the legendary band Led Zeppelin was given a 12-month conditional discharge after being found guilty of possessing cocaine. Yes, cocaine. What's the answer? Cocaine. What's the question? Doesn't matter. And I don't know what the conditional discharge was. I tried to find it and I couldn't really find anything on it. There was a couple things I found today that I couldn't find things for. One of them where I was like, what? I was like, so I didn't even put it out there because I could not find it. I'm like, seems sketch. It's like, is someone making this shit up? I mean, I'm not. I'm just trying to report what I've read. And of course, it could be fake news, but just saying. 1995, Alanis Morissette went to number 1 with her 3rd album, Jagged Little Pill. The record had 6 singles that became hits. 6. It's pretty good. You want to know, ironic, you learn, hand in my pocket, head over feet, and this went to be her most successful album, and it became the most successful album by a female artist of all times, selling over 30 million copies. Not bad, Alanis Morissette and Jagged Little Pill. Now, this one I found, and I couldn't find any follow-up. So, in 1999, Don Henley sued Love Earth, Lovearth, Love Earth, an internet um, company registered in Sarasota, Florida. He sued him in federal court because apparently the internet company registered donhenley.net, don-henley.net, donhenley.org, the end of innocence.com, and e-agl, blah, 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 .com. He said this was copyright infringement. Now, I couldn't find this. I looked for it a little bit, but I couldn't find anything where it said, Henley versus Love Earth. So I'm not sure how much traction that got, and I really wanted to know what the outcome of it when it was. A long time ago, I bought my name way early on, randymalloy.com, .org, .mobi, .everything. I did that for a few people. I told people, I said, hey, you should own your name just because. So I've maintained and held on to that ever since. But that's interesting. Is that a copyright infringement if someone registers your name as a URL? I don't know. I'm wondering. I would ask Copilot, but I think it would hallucinate and tell me, you're fine. Everything's okay. You're a lovely person. Everyone loves you. No one would ever do anything bad to you. Thank you, Copilot. Not going there. Not using it. Just not going to do Copilot. Sorry. It steals my info. I know. AI. Right there, see? Mm-hmm. 2002, Mr. Mick Jagger donated $150,000 to his elementary school in Dartford, England. He used this money to pay for a music director and music instruments for the students. There was a wing named after him, or whatever it was. The School of Music was the Mick Jagger School of Music. But he did do it for all the right reasons. He did donate the money so they could hire a music director and paid for instruments for the students. Golf clap to Mick Jagger for being altruistic and doing good things. Bad things. 2005, Boy George is arrested in New York City after police found traces of cocaine. Yes, I know. We don't know what the question is, but the answer is cocaine. Yes, it's cocaine. Traces of cocaine in his home. Now, apparently what went on is that Boy George called the police to his home because he believed that there was people trying to break into his home. When the police arrived, they found nobody trying to break into his home. They found no signs of forced entry, and they found no signs of anyone trying to break into his home. But they did find a bunch of cocaine residue on his computer table, and then subsequently arrested him for said cocaine possession. What is the question? I don't know, but the answer is cocaine. That is what the answer is. So I don't know if Boy George is being a little paranoid, maybe. They're going to get me. Someone's here at the door. They're coming to get me. Call the police. Yeah, you have to remember that. The minute the police arrive in your home, the scene is theirs, and they are free to do as they choose. That is why you have to invite vampires in. They don't just come into your home. You have to say, yes, please, you are free to come in. Can we come in? No, you cannot. Can we come in? Yes, you can. Then the scene's not yours anymore. So if they do happen to find illegal substance that you may or may not have been ingesting prior to calling the police because you think someone's at your door when they probably aren't, they have every right to, in fact, arrest you for said substances. There you go, Boy George. And there's your law lesson for the day. Don't invite vampires in the house. That's the whole rule here. They have to ask for permission. 2007, Mr. Bruce Springsteen goes to #1 in the UK with his 15th album, Magic. His 7th UK #1, as a matter of fact. Also US. He went to #1 eventually. Radio Nowhere and Girls in Summer Clothes won 3 Grammys, making that the second album that he had to win 3 Grammys. Not too shabby. 6 Grammys, 2 albums. But I mean, this was his 15th, so it's not like not a prolific writer. He's writing a lot, just so you know. The anger of musicians. In 2009, Monkees lead singer Davy Jones rules out ever reconvening and reuniting with his other bandmates after a scathing attack in the National Enquirer, basically telling them all that it is not a case of dollars and cents. I have nothing to prove. The Monkees proved it all. Oh, Davey, why are you so angry? He's dead now. But, I guess I don't understand why musicians get that way. I mean, I guess I can. I have not, I've tried not to eliminate people from my life for their beliefs, whatever they may be. I just kind of take it with a grain of salt. But if they, in fact, extricate themselves from my life, well, that's their choice. So I don't know what Davy Jones's problem was, but apparently he did not want to get back with the rest of the Monkees. Damn him. I would have gone and seen that. 2013, Annie Lennox of the Eurythmics told a BBC Radio 5 that pop videos should be rated like movies. Basically, she said that the sexualization and sexual imagery is as dark as it is pornographic. Now, hold on. I'm going to change because the camera's going to click off. So at least I saw it coming this time. Come on. Come on. There we go. I'd move it closer, but then it would be less of a hassle. Anyway, she stated that the sexual imagery is as dark as pornography. That she's all for freedom of expression, but this is way beyond and clearly in the realm of porn. Talking about pop music videos. There was no reference to like a particular artist, just in general, just very sort of generalized pop videos. Okay, Annie Lennox, I didn't know she was so puritanical, but I mean, they're definitely sexualized. I just don't know if they're in the realm of pornography. I guess there are some that look a little bit like that, but anyway, okay, Annie. 2016's the Rolling Stones played the first night of the Desert Trip Festival. Okay. I'd never heard of this. It's at the Empire Polo Fields in Indio, California. I believe that's where Coachella was held, in Indio, California. Now, along with the Stones was Bob Dylan, Paul McCartney, Neil Young, Roger Waters, and The Who. This was a 6-day festival over 2 weekends. When it was all said and done, the festival totaled $160 million, making it the highest earning music festival ever. Now, I'm sure that's after expenses. Wow, that's a pretty substantial take. That's why people do concerts. High risk, high reward. I mean, $160 million for 2 weeks' work, not too shabby. You've got to be a internet, mogul to make that kind of cash in that short period of time. Or, play the stock market when you have insider trading. Just saying. 2002, Slipknot is number 1 in the UK and number 2 in the US with their 7th album, The End So Far. I know. But it's dedicated to the co-founder, Joey Jorgensen, who died in his sleep in 2021. I mean, Slipknot, it's not horrible. I can listen to Slipknot. It's not Maroon 5. 2008, the Pretenders released their 9th album, Break Up the Concrete. I know. I just kind of... I don't feel like I dialed it in today, but I definitely I'm kind of mentally exhausted. I spent close to 10 hours down at the radio station today. building, literally sorting through like my office, the main office, office after office, just kind of taking a garbage can with me and being like, I'll never see this again. I'll never use this again. I'll never be able to sell this. And I just started to dump stuff in one of the offices. I'll have to take a picture. It's just, I don't know. It's just kind of draining at this point. I read this thing on grief today that kind of summed it up. It's like, it's like being in the ocean in a small boat and with 100-foot waves that come crashing over the top of you. It kind of knocks you down and they just come in succession one after another. You're just like, fuck. And time fixes that, but I'm still in it. So the waves just keep crashing. I kind of get a break for a minute and then I have to go do it like this. Like I said, spending 10 hours there today, just digging through pictures, photographs, deciding like, oh, here's the whole scrapbook of all the interns. What do I do with it? Do I save it? And where do I put it? And it's just like, fuck. So it's very, I don't know. I guess it's sort of like cleaning out your parents' house when they pass away. I would imagine, you have to go through all the memories and all the stuff and deal with it. I have not had the chance to do that yet, thankfully, knock on wood. Mom lives for the rest of my lifetime. But it's not cathartic at all. I will not give it that word at all. It's, I don't know, I don't want to call it depressing, but it's just draining because I'm just like, fuck. I just can't, there's no closure. There is no closure to this. It just continues on and on and on. It's hopefully it's like 75 days now that the building will sell. The auction will start. I was there with the auction guy who's marking down everything. Like, oh, can we sell this? Can we sell this? Can we sell this? I'm just like, sure. Like, what am I going to do with it? What am I going to do with it? And this guy's a yapper. He's just like talking and talking and talking and talking. And I'm just like trying to be introspective. Like, yep, it's your thing. Okay. I talk more here alone to the camera and you than I do in person to most people these days. That's kind of how my life has gone. I've got very, introspective in my time not working, that I don't have a lot of conversations with people, which is very weird because I used to see people and have conversations and stuff all the time. Now I don't. I'll work, in solitude for an entire day. Maybe I see someone in a coffee shop but I don't have a lot of social interaction. So it's very strange. So this, like I said, I talk more doing this to nobody. I mean, you're there, but than anything else, which I find to be very, very weird, to say the least. So I don't know if that's a sign of great intelligence that I talk to myself or that I'm in fact losing my mind and I'm as crazy as a hatter. And do you know why the Mad Hatters were called Mad Hatters, right? Because they used to use mercury to help make the hats, and they would all get mercury poisoning, and it would make them crazy. So that's mad as a hatter. Just like being mad as a hatter. Anyway, all right, well, that was my day. Didn't mean to unload on you. That wasn't meant what that was meant to be. It was more to say like that auction's coming up and I am the host of the band competition, marching band competition this Sunday at the Italian Festival. I will get a graphic and put it up here along with this. See, look, ta-da! Hey, that's me, the guy in the van. I'll be the guy on the stage. I'll be the guy at the Italian Festival. So I'll have some props tomorrow. I dug through so much stuff at the office today that I will definitely have props. I don't know where I'll put them down here, but I'll bring props. I brought a bunch of stuff. I piled a bunch of stuff in the corner, but I did not bring much stuff home today. I just didn't have it in me. Just by the end of the day, I literally was just like, I had boxes sitting there and just like, I can't do this. I'm just leaving. I'm just going. The rain, it was dark when I left. It was just too much. It was not my finest hour. But here I am, enjoying this time with you, and that's what really matters. So, I appreciate you being here and letting me just be cathartic, which is not, because this isn't catharsis at all. This is just, I don't know what. Venting, bitching. I don't think it's even venting. It's more bitching. Just bitching. Thank you. Adieu. Move fade to black. See you tomorrow. Let us end the stream. End the stream.